It's a blooming marvellous day here in Leogang. The sun is out. There's a few clouds, maybe something threatening, but let's have a look at XC Hottest Tech. Yes, there's even more that we didn't discover at Nova Mesto. Let's go and find it right now. We found another wonderful Yeti. And this isn't the Enduro ones or downhill ones that we're used to, no. This is Yeti's ASR, and this one is Isla Short's bike, so it's a sort of custom build just for her. It is the extra small frame, but it is 29/29. We've got 110mm of rear wheel travel, and then 120 up front. It is really tidily built, lots of lovely little details. We've got these hunt-proven wheels with carbon spokes, which you don't see that often. And really interesting fact, which Isla told me, the Hunt Proven name gets its name from her 5th place at World Champs here in Leogang. It's kind of impressive to have your own wheel set named after you. Hopefully she can race these to a very good placing here. Tyre-wise, we've got the Schwalbe. These are the Race, or Rick Race Pro. I've seen them labelled as Rick Race and also as, well, Rick XC. I'm still unsure as to which is which. We've got a really interesting bar and stem. It's by a brand called Gemini, fitting as we're in June. Good for all the Geminis out there, just like me. It's a one-piece design. It is 200 grams, which is ridiculously light. Isla was telling me that they do custom builds, so you can select your stem length and bar width. And with this one, it's a 60mm and then 690, so nice, racy and tight. We've got the power meter on there because we've got the XX group set from SRAM. And then, very nice to see, is the Crank Brothers Egg Beater pedal, a design classic. This one's the fancy number 11 version. So we've got tie axle, tie spindle, and then tie wings as well. Very blingy and very fitting for a wonderful race bike such as this. Lovely little addition onto this bike. So we've got lockout levers for front and rear. That's like a default setting for a lot of cross-country bikes. And often, because you've got thumb shifter effectively, or thumb toggle down here, it's then a bit of a wrestling match to work out where you're going to put your dropper post lever. Somebody's thinking outside the box because they've used this wolf tooth one here. But that dropout lever is really nice because you can do it at any angle. So you could pull it with an index finger, you could push it with a thumb, and that's really good on a long, tough XC race because you're not going to wear out your thumb doing that repetitive thing. And if it gets to a point where you're really tired, you're really knackered, as you will be in a cross-country race, you could use 2 fingers on it. Very good attention to detail. Nice work, Isla. At the last race in Nova Mesto, Specialized pulled a very clever trick for short track. There's lots of talk about them running really big fat tyres, and they are on at least 2.35s. There are rumours of these mythical fast tracks in 2.5 for cross country. But for short track, because there's more tarmac sections and more faster rolling sections, they switched it up and they put a gravel tyre on. It's a 50mm gravel tyre, but there it is in tan wall glory just behind us. Interesting to see the balance between fatter, faster rolling tyres and skinny, faster feeling tyres. Interesting stuff. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Nova Mesto and I saw these green inserts in the back of lots and lots and lots of pits. And that's because, well, on XC tracks, they're getting really gnarly and quite burly. There's lots of routes, there's lots of technical stuff. They're shorter on travel, so they need to make the most of their sort of tyre travel. And, well, that also comes with a sort of gamble that, well, you might bottom out and you could damage your rim. The other aspect is also with cross-country racing, you've got tech zones, so you just need to make it to that next tech zone to get a tyre change or wheel change. So, yeah, that's why I think we saw loads of these inserts, is because they're one of the lightest out on the market and work with, well, any tyre and wheel combination. So, yeah, Vittoria Air Liners. Really interesting to see how many teams had got these snuck away in the back. They're buying them. They're not sponsored. Interesting stuff. We're just peeping inside the Decathlon Ford racing team because it looks like Samara's got a different bike, but chatting to the mechanics, it seems like this one is because she's Oceania champion as well as, well, leading the overall. So that's why she's got a different coloured bike. But what is interesting is the tyre spec. She's gone for a Mezcal front and then the peyote rear. And it sounds like if the weather holds as it is at the moment, well, maybe you'll find out by the time this video goes out, that's what she's going to run. Really interesting combo. So she's got more grip up front and then she's got that much faster rolling peyote tyre on the back. Maybe it'll be a winning combination. outside the Origine. Hopefully I'm saying that French fans well enough. Yeah, Origine. French brand. Got a lovely little suspension bike. Their team's doing quite well this year. It feels like a much bigger presence this year. I could be wrong, correct me in the comments. But what's interesting is, for short track, we're seeing another gravel tyre. I haven't got my calipers, but my eyeballs say it's probably 45 to 50 mil. But interesting to see that short track, with the subtle compromise on that surface, means that, well, riders are choosing the optimum rolling versus actually sort of getting any grip. But other exciting stuff is it might rain. So, yeah, that throws a kind of very wet pigeon amongst the cats. Let's find out what happens later. At Nova Mesto, we saw Mona Mitterwallner's really very nice, well, full suspension bike. But here, she's chosen a hardtail. Be really interesting to see whether that's just for short track or for the full XC as well. Interesting tyre choice on there as well. Looks like 2.25, so maybe 2.4, so I'll have to get the caliper out. But again, Benno's done a great job. Will it be the fastest bike? Only time will tell. We're in the Burgtec pits. Big display here. What's interesting is they've got so many race teams on their parts. And interestingly, well, they're not really sponsored. They're just using the parts because they're real good. Testament how good they are. And we've also got more dog content because that's obviously key. This is Masha. She's very good. She's very helpful. She already advised me on which bars I should go for. Apparently I should stick to the 760s, but try a higher rise bar, so maybe the 38s. So yeah, lots of good dog advice. And who do you think is going to win today? There you go, you heard it here first. Great stuff. I'm not a soothsayer, but the weather here in Leogang at the moment is sort of undecided. Clouds look a little bit threatening. Some people are saying it's raining. Lots of teams are taking preparations for that. And my nerdy little bike nerd eye has just spotted something which I've not seen before. It looks a bit like a Barzo, but I'm not sure it is. Maybe it's a trimmed down Barzo, but it's a different tyre. We're here at Decathlon Ford team, and yeah, they're running Vittoria tyres. It's not a profile I've seen before. Is it a cut down Barzo? Time will tell. In the mountains, weather can change at the drop of a hat or the drop of a raindrop. And with that in mind, the racers have got to be prepared and the mechanics have got to be prepared to, spec their bikes a little bit differently. The other big factor about XC racing and modern XC racing is the courses are hugely different. And now we're all on one-by drivetrains. It means that we've got to do little subtle changes to make sure the bike is prepped. So we saw Jenny's bike at Nova Mesto and we had a 34 ring. There was a conversation where 36 might go on for short track. Here at Leogang, there's a lot more climbing. So we've got a 32 chain ring. We've got different tyres, not just for short track, but for the race as well. There's conversations already being had with the mechanics and the riders about what tyres they might use if or when the rain arrives. Conversations being had about what tyres. So we've got Racing Ralph's on at the moment, which is a much grippier tyre than what we saw at Nova Mesto. But hidden behind me are some rocket runs, some really sort of, well, spiky. Still, I would say an intermediate, not a true dedicated mud tyre, but still smaller tyre profile, smaller volume, so 2.25 instead of a 2.4. So all these subtle things. There's also kind of conversations about some of the riders might run fenders here at Canyon, little small toe peak, sort of Velcro on one, which is easy to put on if required. Then there's all the subtle prep. So they're going to use a different chain. They're going to use a different chain oil. They're also going to put silicone on some of the frame parts, some silicone spray, just to help if it is muddy and it is claggy to remove it. The course is really different here as well. We talked about how much climbing there is, and that means that, well, some racers are going to run the smallest tyre they can get away with just to save a bit of rotational weight. It's going to be really interesting to see how the racing pans out, and if all these little tweaks make a big difference. You wait for one Yeti and then you get two at once. Okay, there's about 20, oh God no, probably 30 years between Isla Short's amazing ASR, wonderful super light suspension bike and this Yeti Ultimate. So yeah, this is steel. It's got a hoop stay. Get excited about that, folks. And it is dripping with Paul's components, including the mythical, ultra rare, ultra elusive Raster Paul's rear mech. So this is about 1995. So one of the other group sets that we've seen here, easily say put the kibosh on it, because when XDR came out, it was this huge step change in performance that, well, just sort of unfortunately pulled components and many other CNC boutique brands on the sort of back burner. Paul's is still going and still making actually a lot of these parts. I think they still make these canties, which are, well, lovely. You've got Onza chill pills on here. You've got the wonderful SRAM. Well, actually, at the time it wasn't SRAM. It was Grip Shift. And those are I think they're the 800 series. They're the X-Rays, which I've got to say is impressive that they're still around. They were a wonderful light shifter of a grip shift format, but due to their clear plastic, they needed very special lubricants. Bonus points for any of you out there who can name the special lubricant that was required for these to work. But yeah, what an amazing find. I've got a very special bike here. This is Jolanda Neff's Scalpel from Cannondale. It's the Lab 71 bike. And I just need to preface that you might imagine that as a bike nerd, I just kind of roll around and grab bikes out of mechanics' hands. But there's a lot that's to be said of that relationship with the mechanics to tease these very special race bikes out of their hands to get them to you on gmbntech, just to share them with you. And sometimes you have to kind of make sacrifices to the gods. And for me, Pete is one of the gods of the mechanic world. His Palmares is pretty impressive. We've got World Cup titles, we've got World Cup overalls, we've got World Championships and even Olympic gold medals. He is a seriously good mechanic. So I had to pay special virtues to get this bike. Anyway, back to the bike. We've got a medium Scalpel. It's a Lab 71, so that means it's got a subtly different layup that saves a little bit of weight. In terms of spec, it is dripping in the new M9200 XDR, including the pedals. I've not seen these pedals yet in the metal, but there they are. Very nice spec. In terms of tyres, we've got Racing Ralph on the back, and then we've got the XC Rick, which changes. Sometimes it's Racing Rick, so maybe I'm wrong. FSA wheels, dedicated front hub for the lefty fork. That is the carbon lefty, so that means that upper section of the fork and the sort of like, well, sort of steerer effectively are all carbon. So it's very special. This one has got a custom FSA bar as well and stem. Widths on that, well, we've got a 60mm stem, and then the bar is, well, around 670, so quite narrow, but then Jolanda is, well, a relatively sort of slim and narrow person. Cassette-wise, it is the 1051 rear cassette, so it's not the smaller version, but because there's so much climbing here at Leogang, it's really climb heavy, which should suit someone like Jolanda, who is very, very good at climbing and incredible at descending. They've got a 30-tooth chainring up front. Altogether, it is beautifully spec'd, and, well, yeah, I just think it looks fantastic. Dropper post is the Transfer SL, so that's the, well, two-position one. You've got this up high, and then you've got low down as well. Jolanda, as we mentioned, is known for her deft descending skills, so she'll be using that, I imagine, a lot on this quite technical course at Leogang. I think that's all the features. It sounds like, well, not a lot, but it's so well put together. Another little point that's worth noting is that unlike lots of the prototypes that are out there of custom this and custom frame sizes, well, you could go out and buy this Lab 71 Scalpel from Cannondale. No, it won't be cheap, but effectively the spec will be, well, the same with the jazzy new Shimano XTR. Of course, it won't have been touched by the mechanic god that is Pete, but hey, it's pretty close to being as fast. We're outside the Scott SRAM team, and we've got a very special Scott Spark RC. We saw this bike in Nova Mesto. Actually, we saw Nino's, slightly different spec. And we'll run through the spec very quickly. So we've got the SRAM XXSL group set. So we've got the Quank power meter up front and dedicated chainring. We've got the hollow pin chain. It's got hollow side links as well. All very blingy. It's also got flight attendant. You can't see the shock, and that's because it's, well, inside the frame. Cleverly designed away and hidden. There is a sag indicator on the non-drive side. And also you've got the SID Ultima up front with flight attendant, which you can see. There's a toggle lever on the left side of the bar, and that can do dropper post and stuff with flight attendant. The team are being very tight-lipped about what it can do. It can be a full lockout, it can be a sort of a high compression rating, it can do lots of different things. What this one does, we're not sure. Okay, what other spec things have we got? Well, we've got a 125mm reverb. Nice. Got the battery on the front, it's the newer version. We've got a one-piece bar and stem. It's designed and made in-house by Syncross. This one is a production one, so it's an 80mm stem, and these bars have been trimmed down to around 700, so it's a really narrow and aggressive setup. Wheels-wise, we've got Syncross prototype wheels. They're Silverton spec, they're slightly different to what you can buy. They're still doing testing. It's a wide rim, I can say that much, and they're wrapped in these big 2.4 Aspens, which, yeah, look really meaty. These are test pilot ones, which often means that there's something else going on inside. So maybe there's a different carcass, perhaps it's a different compound. We've got some really nice custom HT pedals. They're the M2 ones, and they've got a really funky sort of, well, just nice anodizing effect. But the big news on this bike is this absolutely stunning paint job. And this is done by Bjorn himself. So he's developed this sort of sketch and some of the motifs in here. There's even a secret little signature on there. There's a big signature on top as well. Loads of nice details. We've got this kind of frozen aesthetic on here as well. So he designed it, he says, in just around sort of 40 minutes. He's really into sketching. He finds it very meditative. Anyway, he then collaborated with the Scott team, where they worked with the design team to create the flat sketch into, well, a 3D form. And they sent it off to their painters and created this thing of beauty. There's so much detail on here. Really does stand out from the crowd. Wow, my brain is fizzing with XC tech, from really big tyres to slightly odd gravel tyres for short track, and then just longer travel stuff too. Just so much tech that's still out there. Really, really makes me want to ride my bike in an amazing mountainous place just like this. But I've got my favourites. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below.